There is a specific feeling that I think every business owner has felt at least once. It's not a good feeling.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's that tightness in your chest, that pit in your stomach, right after you sign a massive check for a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
You send the money out the door, you launch the ads, and then it's just silence.
Mm.
You just wait. And in the back of your head, there's this little voice just nagging you, saying, did I just light that money on fire?
It's the classic black hole anxiety. You have to feed the beast to grow, but you have, no guarantee that the beast is going to give anything back.
Right.
It feels less like a business strategy and, I don't know, more like a trip to Vegas.
Exactly. It feels like gambling. And that brings us to the hook of today's deep dive. We're looking at a stack of materials from Local Management, an award-winning digital marketing agency based out of Boca Raton, Florida. And right off the bat, they have this line in their source material that I think a lot of people need to hear. They say explicitly, digital marketing should never feel like gambling.
That's a bold claim, right? Because for so many businesses, that uncertainty is just the default state.
It is. And what we're going to unpack today is how they claim to remove the betting aspect entirely. We're talking about a transition from local to global, using a mix of AI-driven platforms and what they call the human element.
Okay, but there's a tension there.
That's where it gets really interesting and honestly a little confusing at first glance.
Confusing how?
Well, you have this agency billing itself as an AI marketing agency. They talk about scientific approaches, data, automation, but then in the very same breath, they have this massive emphasis on avoiding AI-looking stories.
So they seem to be at war with their own identity.
Exactly. It does sound like a paradox on the surface.
But I think that tension, between the robot and the human, that might actually be the secret sauce here.
So today's mission is to figure out, how do you balance being an AI-driven agency while insisting that the human touch is the only way to win? And maybe more importantly, how do you stop gambling with your marketing budget?
Well, let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with this no gambling philosophy. Because saying we don't gamble is, it's great marketing copy. Anyone can say that.
Sure.
But actually delivering on it is a nightmare. How do they claim to replace luck with certainty?
Well, according to the document, it all comes down to replacing gut feeling with process. They acknowledge that investing in digital marketing is scary. They literally say, believe us, we know. But they counter that fear with a very specific 4-step methodology.
Okay, lay it on me. What is step one?
Step 1 is research. And they are really emphatic about this. The quote is, no data is insignificant.
No data is insignificant. That sounds a little obsessive, doesn't it? Do you really need to know everything?
In their view. Yeah, you do. Think about it this way. If you're a doctor, you don't just start performing surgery the moment a patient walks in.
No, of course not.
You run tests, you check vitals, you look at the history. Local management says to know is to deliver.
So if you skip step one...
Guessing. And guessing is gambling. The source material states that the data gathered serves as the basis for the entire approach. They analyze the business, the target audience, the competitors, all before they even think about the creative work.
Which makes total sense. I feel like a lot of businesses skip straight to the fun part.
Yeah.
Making the logo or writing the funny tweet without knowing who they're even talking to.
Exactly. And that leads directly to step 2, strategy.
Okay.
And the key takeaway here is that they never copy and paste.
That's a phrase that stood out to me. Never copy and paste. Because I think there is a tendency in this industry to just find a winning template and slap a different logo on it.
Right. It worked for the pizza shop, so it'll work for the dentist.
Yep.
But local management argues that every business has a unique path. So whether it's social media or Facebook ads, they're crafting a custom strategy based on that deep dive research from step 1.
You can't have a custom suit if you don't take the measurements first.
That's a perfect analogy. So we have the measurements, which is research. We have the pattern, that's strategy. Step 3 has to be actually sewing the suit.
Right.
Correct. Step 3 is execution. This is the start the show phase. It's one thing to have a plan, it's another to implement it. This is where they handle the content, the website hosting, the ads, all the heavy lifting.
And finally, step 4. And I feel like this is the one that most people just forget. They launch the campaign and then they go on vacation.
Which is the fatal mistake, right? Step 4 is analyze and adjust. The source says digital marketing is an ongoing process that never stops. They ask a really great rhetorical question in the text. Why would you want to plateau when you can still reach new heights?
That concept of the plateau is interesting because a lot of people would be thrilled just to get some results and stay there.
True, but the internet just moves too fast for you to settle. A strategy that worked in January might not work in July. Algorithms change, trends shift, a competitor enters the market.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal.
Not at all. It's a cycle. You research, strategize, execute, analyze, and then that analysis feeds right back into research.
I see.
That's how you avoid the gambling feeling by constantly course correcting based on real-time feedback. You aren't betting on a roulette spin. You're driving a car and adjusting the steering wheel as the road curves.
I like that analogy. So, okay, we've got the philosophy down, but let's talk about the actual tools in the belt, because the source material makes a really important distinction early on that I think confuses a lot of people. They ask, is social media marketing the same as digital marketing?
And the answer they give is a resounding no.
I feel like if you asked 10 business owners that question, 9 of them would say yes. They think, oh, I have an Instagram page, so I'm doing digital marketing.
It's a really common misconception, but the text clarifies that social media is just one tactic under this much larger digital marketing umbrella.
It's like saying, is a hammer the same thing as construction?
Exactly. No, a hammer is just one tool in the toolbox.
So let's empty out that toolbox that local management uses. What else is in there besides social media?
Well, first and foremost, you have SEO, search engine optimization.
Ah, the dark art of getting on Google.
It feels like magic, but it's really about visibility. The goal is simple. Increase your rankings to drive more traffic. They make the point that more traffic equals more conversions.
Makes sense.
If your business is a shop, SEO is the difference between being on Main Street and being in some dead-end alley.
If they can't find you, they can't pay you.
Precisely. Then you've got web design and development, and I like how they describe this. They call your website your address on the web, or your online shop.
Is this just about making it look pretty, though?
It's more about functionality and first impressions. They emphasize creating a responsive design because, like they note, there are millions of websites out there. If yours is clunky or looks like it was built in 1998, you lose trust instantly.
Speaking of trust, that leads us to content marketing.
Which is huge. The source says quality content drives engagement. It's not just noise. It's informative, persuasive content that actually aligns with the brand's voice. This is where you talk to the customer, not just at them.
And then there's email marketing, which honestly, it feels a little old school to me. Does that still even work?
It works if you do it right. The text frames it as optimization. It's about setting up campaigns with compelling calls to action. Think of it as nurturing.
Okay.
Maybe someone isn't ready to buy today, but if you keep providing value in their inbox, you're the first person they think of when they're ready.
And then, for the impatient among us, there's advertising.
Specifically, they mention PPC and Google advertising. This is all about speed. They say if you want to push visitor numbers up immediately, this is the lever you pull. SEO takes time. Ads are instant.
Okay, before we keep going, I have to pause. Because as I was reading through this services section, I hit what I like to call the alphabet soup zone.
Oh, yeah.
This industry just loves its acronyms.
It's a language of its own, for sure.
The source actually has a section dedicated to explaining these, and I think we should break them down. But let's not do the textbook definition. Let's do like like I'm 5 version.
Challenge accepted.
First up, ROI.
Return on investment. Okay, so imagine you have a lemonade stand. You spent $10 on lemons and sugar. At the end of the day, you made $50. Your ROI is that $40 profit. It's the big picture. Is the business actually making money?
Got it. Okay, next. ROAS, return on ad spend.
This is more specific. Let's say you paid your little brother $5 to stand on the corner and spin a sign for your lemonade stand. ROAS is asking, did the customers that my brother brought in buy enough lemonade to cover his $5 fee?
Okay.
It's looking strictly at the advertising efficiency, not the cost of the lemons.
That is actually a super helpful distinction. ROI is the whole stand, ROAS is just the sign spinner.
Exactly.
Finally, PPC.
Pay-per-click. This one's simple. You put up a digital billboard, but you don't pay for the space. You only pay a small fee when someone actually taps on it and walks into your store.
So if 1,000 people see it but nobody clicks, you pay 0.
You pay 0.
Now, there are 2 others listed in the services section, AEO and GEO. The source doesn't explicitly define them, which I'll admit frustrated me a little. But they are listed as advanced offerings. Given that this is an AI-focused agency, can we infer what they're talking about?
I think we can make a very educated guess. AEO almost certainly stands for Answer Engine Optimization.
Answer engine.
Think about how you use the internet now. You don't just type plumber into Google and scroll through a bunch of blue links.
Right.
You ask Siri or ChatGPT or Alexa, who is the best plumber near me? And it gives you one answer. AEO is the art of becoming that one answer.
Wow, okay. And GEO?
That's likely generative engine optimization. It's the next frontier. It means optimizing your content so that when an AI generates a summary of a topic, your brand is included in that summary.
So even though the text doesn't spell it out, the fact that they list these shows, they're looking at the future of search, not just what's happening today.
Exactly. It goes right back to that plateau fear. They're already preparing for a world where people stop clicking links and start just asking AI for answers.
Which brings us perfectly back to the central conflict we teased at the start, this whole man versus machine debate.
This is the part that really caught my attention.
Same here. Because look, the headline of the source material says, award-winning AI marketing agency. They use AI-driven online marketing platforms. Then you scroll down, and there's this whole section titled The Human Element.
And it almost reads like a warning label.
It really does. They write, you can lose out on this connection with AI and auto-generated content and strategies. So the AI agency is warning you against AI.
It's like a candy shop telling you sugar is bad for your teeth.
Isn't it? It seems contradictory.
But I think it's actually very, very savvy. They're distinguishing between AI as a tool and AI as a craftsman.
Break that down for me.
Okay, think of AI like a really high-tech power drill. It's incredibly efficient. It can do things way faster than a human hand. But if you just turn the drill on and let it run wild, you're going to destroy the house. You need a human carpenter to decide where to drill.
So in this metaphor, the data and the research are the power tools.
Yes. They emphasize that they understand human emotions and feelings. They say, we draw emotions from your audience with your stories. An AI can process data, but it doesn't feel anything.
That's so true. A robot doesn't know what it's like to be scared of losing money or excited about a new home or, just really hungry for a pizza.
Exactly. And that's why they explicitly list pushy AI-looking stories as something they avoid.
Oh, we've all seen those, right?
Yeah.
You open a blog post or an email, and within 2 seconds, you just go, a human did not write this. It's generic. It's robotic.
It's soulless.
Yeah.
And local management is arguing that soulless content might rank on Google, but it won't convert a human being into a loyal customer. They aim to craft an image that resonates.
So it's a hybrid model.
It's high-tech meets high-touch. The source mentions they use scientific and creative approaches. It's not one or the other.
It's both.
It's both. The science gets you in front of the audience, the creative makes them care.
I love that. The science gets you in the room, the story gets you the sale.
Perfectly put.
So let's talk results, because all this philosophy about robots and humans is fascinating, but at the end of the day, business owners have bills to pay. What does local management say about actual outcomes?
They are very clear about this. Their mantra is, every lead matters.
But they make a distinction about the kind of leads, right? Because I know plenty of agencies that will get you 100 leads, but they're all junk.
That's the empty calorie lead. Local management points out that many agencies bring in new leads that don't truly affect the business. It's just noise. They say they are intentional about lead generation. They focus on leads that translate to sales.
Quality over quantity.
Precisely. And it's not just about getting the customer through the door once. There is a heavy emphasis on retention. The source says, we're never a one-time fluke.
Never a one-time fluke. That's a confident statement. It implies they aren't looking for a quick hit.
No, they argue that digital marketing is also used to strengthen customer relationships. If you stop marketing to someone the second they buy from you, you're leaving money on the table.
Right.
They want to turn a one-time buyer into a loyal fan.
Now, they also make a bold claim about competition. They ask, can you beat your competitors with digital marketing? And obviously, the answer they give is yes. But, why? What's the logic?
Their logic is brutally simple. The entire world is a stage, and that stage is online today. They argue that digital marketing actually costs less than traditional marketing, billboards or TV ads. But it reaches a wider audience because everyone is on their phones.
It's true. I'm looking around the coffee shop right now, and nobody is looking at the posters on the wall. Everyone is looking down at a screen.
So if you aren't on that screen, you are literally invisible.
One thing that struck me about the culture of this agency, and this comes through in the text, is they don't seem to want to just be a vendor. Here's your invoice, see you next month.
No, they use a specific term. Forever agency.
Forever agency. It sounds serious, like a marriage proposal.
In a business sense, it kind of is. They list effective teamwork and accountability at every step as core values. They explicitly state they avoid being only about money.
That's refreshing to hear. Usually it's all about the money.
Well, they say, we can't achieve success without our partners. It implies a shared journey. They want sustainable growth, not just a quick cash grab. If the client grows, the agency grows with them.
It connects back to that visual they use, the growth train.
Let's get on the growth train together. That's the line. It suggests momentum. It suggests that once you start this process, this cycle of research, execution, analysis, you don't get off. You just keep moving forward.
So let's zoom out for a second. We started this deep dive talking about fear, the fear of that black hole of marketing spend. As we look at this whole stack of materials, the data focus, the specific tools, the human storytelling, does it actually solve that problem?
I think it does. When you break it down like this, marketing stops looking like a slot machine. It starts looking like an engine. You build it, you tune it, you fuel it with data, and it runs. It's not about luck anymore. It's about engineering.
So if we had to summarize the local management approach for our listeners, maybe someone who is sitting there right now wondering if they should launch that next campaign, what is the key takeaway?
I think it really comes down to that balance we talked about. Successful marketing isn't magic. It's a rigorous cycle of research and execution. It's using the most advanced AI tools to understand the landscape, but never ever letting those tools drown out the human story that actually connects with the customer.
It's using the robot to build the stage, but letting the human perform on it.
I like that. And remembering, as they say, that no data is insignificant.
No data is insignificant. Okay, before we wrap up, there's one last thing from the source material that I think is really important to leave our listeners with. It's a section called Stay in the Know.
Ah, yes. This is where they challenge the reader directly.
They write, whether you choose to use our services or not, you need to know all the current trends in the industry.
And that is a very provocative thought to end on. They're essentially saying that ignorance is not an option. You don't have to hire them specifically.
No.
But you do have to understand the game.
Because, as they say, the entire world is a stage.
It raises a massive question for anyone listening, doesn't it? In a world that is this digital, where everyone is on their phones and the algorithms are constantly changing, can any business actually afford to opt out? Can you afford to not know what AEO is? Can you afford to just ignore the trends?
I don't think you can. The train is leaving the station, and you're either on it or you're left on the platform. A huge thank you to the team at Local Management for the source material that fueled this deep dive. It's given us a lot to think about regarding that intersection of data and humanity.
It was a pleasure unpacking it all.
And to you, the listener, thanks for joining us on the Growth Train today. Keep analyzing, keep adjusting, and we will see you on the next deep dive.
See you next time.